Hello, welcome to the Mission Driven Business Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Thompson, an attorney, certified financial planner, and founder of a financial planning firm that serves LGBTQ entrepreneurs. I created this podcast to help mission-driven entrepreneurs build businesses that are both profitable and meaningful. On the show, you'll hear conversations from diverse entrepreneurs and experts who support small businesses in many, many ways. We'll talk about marketing, money, strategy, mindset, and what it really takes to build a business that aligns with your values and supports the life that you want. So whether you're just getting started or growing an established business, you're in the right place. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mission Driven Business Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Thompson. And if you've been listening for a while, you know it's become a bit of a tradition around this time of year to do a mid-year review. This year, I want to approach things a little bit differently. I don't want this to feel like homework. I don't want to hand you a checklist of 20 things to do and you feel guilty that your business isn't exactly where you hoped it would be in July. Instead, I want today to feel like you're hitting a bit of a reset button. I should probably confess something. I genuinely get excited about this time of year. In fact, I spent some of my holiday weekend updating my financial spreadsheet since it was the end of June. It's color-coded, meticulous, organized, and brings me so much joy. I've always loved the halfway point of the year because this is one of the few moments where you have enough information from the beginning of the year and still have enough time before the end of the year to update things. And as I was updating my spreadsheet, I wasn't looking for a perfect score. I wasn't trying to make sure everything was exactly as I planned it to be. Just simply looking at what the numbers are telling me. And that's, to me, what a good financial review is. It's not about judgment. It's about understanding your story so you can decide what the next chapter looks like. One of the reasons I became a financial planner is because numbers make me feel calm. When life feels uncertain, I don't avoid the data, I dig into it. And that's with my finances, my meal macros, or my sleep. I love asking questions like, what's working? What's changed? What's surprising me about the numbers that I'm seeing? And what experiment do I run next to make sure that I'm on track for where I want to be? And after working with entrepreneurs for a long time, I realized that most people don't have the same relationship with numbers. For many business owners, opening QuickBooks and looking at their financial reports feels intimidating. Maybe your bookkeeping isn't caught up. Pro tip, get a good bookkeeper. Maybe you're worried you spent more than you should have. Or maybe you're afraid that the numbers will tell you that you somehow failed. If that's you, I want you to hear this. Your financial statements are not a report card. They're a GPS. They don't tell you whether you're a good entrepreneur. They simply tell you where you are so you can decide where you want to go next. You've heard me say this a million times at this point, but you need to build, measure, and learn as fast as possible. Business is one long experiment, and today's episode isn't about judging your first 6 months. It's about gathering information so you can make better decisions the next 6 months. I want to walk you through what I call the cash framework, a simple financial reset that you can complete in under an hour. So let's dive in. C is the first one. Check your numbers. The first step is simple. We just look at what information you have. You don't obsess over it. You don't criticize the numbers that you see. You just look. If you've been avoiding your bookkeeping, this is an invitation to get caught up. Take a deep breath. Pull up your profit and loss statement, look at your balance sheet, and make sure that you're checking your bank balances. If you use the profit first system, you can look at each of your accounts and see where you're standing at the end of the quarter. Then again, just ask a few simple questions. How much revenue have I generated so far this year? Am I actually profitable, the number that matters? And how much cash do I have available today? Any surprises? You also notice that I didn't have you ask, what's wrong? I said, what surprises you? I think that mind shift matters a lot. Curiosity creates learning, and judgment creates avoidance. And that's exactly how I use my own spreadsheet. Every color-coded category starts a conversation with myself. Why has the expense been higher than expected? What patterns am I seeing? Why is cash stronger this time of year than it was last year? The spreadsheet doesn't judge me. It simply gives me better questions to ask and get curious about. If your numbers are better than expected, celebrate. we entrepreneurs do not celebrate ourselves enough. And if they're worse than expected, congratulations, you now have information that you can use going forward. And information is always better than uncertainty. One of the biggest sources of anxiety I see isn't bad financial news. It's not knowing. Once you know, you can make a plan and make changes. On to step 2A, and that's assessing your spending. In this step, we're seeing where the money went. Revenue usually gets all the attention, but your expenses also have a story to tell. So here, ask yourself, where's the money gone the last 6 months? Look through your biggest expense categories. It's usually payroll or contractors or marketing. Sometimes it's software or professional services, or it could a lot of the times be travel. Then ask one simple question when you're looking at these numbers. Is this expense helping my business become what I want it to be? And again, I'm not asking whether this expense is too expensive. I'm asking whether it's valuable. Sometimes the biggest investments produce the biggest returns. Other times, it's the $20 monthly subscriptions that you've forgotten that you're paying for over time that really kill you. Every business develops financial habits. Some service, some don't. Another way of thinking about it could be asking, if I were going to start this business today, would I make this purchase again? Sometimes the answer is immediately yes. And sometimes I discover that a software that I've been paying for isn't actually worth it anymore. It's all about whether the investment makes sense. Going back to my spreadsheet, it does track expenses very well. But it's also just reminding me what I determined, what is important for me this year. Mid-year is the perfect time to clean house. Not because you're trying to spend less, but because you're trying to spend intentionally. I also encourage my clients to think about whether their spending reflects their values. If your business says innovation matters, are you investing in it? Are you investing in learning? If you value your time, are you investing in systems or delegation? If community is one of your core values, are you spending money in a way that strengthens your relationships with other people? Money has a funny way of revealing our priorities, whether we like it or not. Okay, on to S, strengthening your cash flow. This is my favorite part because to me, cash flow creates peace of mind. Profit matters, but cash flow determines whether you sleep well. So here, you ask yourself, how predictable is my income? Do I know where my revenue will be for the next 3 months? How dependent am I on 1 or 2 clients? Are invoices being paid on time? Am I consistently setting aside money for taxes? And because you know me, how is your profit first system working? Are your allocation percentages appropriate? Are you consistently making money transfers without having to switch between each of your accounts? Is one account always running short? Mid-year is a wonderful time to make adjustments because you still have a lot of time to go. Don't wait until December. The goal isn't perfection, it's just progress. And it's creating a business that is just a little bit healthier and more resilient over the next 6 months. Good cash flow gives you options, gives you flexibility, it gives you confidence, and perhaps most importantly, it reduces stress. On to the last step, H. Head into the second half with intention. Now comes my second favorite part. You've gathered the information, you can decide where you're going to go with it. Please resist the temptation to create a giant to-do list. Instead, choose 3 actions. 1 expense you'll eliminate or reduce, 1 investment you'll make or continue to make, and 1 financial goal you'll accomplish before the end of the next quarter. That's it. Maybe you'll finally hire a virtual assistant. Maybe you'll raise prices, which is what most of us need to do. Maybe you'll cancel that software that you've been paying for that you haven't been using. Or maybe you'll finally focus on building your emergency fund. Either way, you're committing to 3 things that you can do and take action against. When I finished my spreadsheet this weekend, I didn't close my laptop thinking, well, that's done, on to December. I closed it feeling energized because now I know exactly where I want to focus on during the second half of the year. And that clarity is the gift of the mid-year reset. Once you have clarity, making decisions becomes so much easier. And small adjustments made consistently over 6 months can completely change the rest of your year. You don't need this big overhaul. You simply need to take the next right step. As we wrap up today, I want to leave you with one final thought. If looking at your numbers feels uncomfortable, I completely understand. But I hope you'll begin seeing these numbers and your financials a little bit differently. They aren't judging you. They're helping you. They're giving you feedback and information. Every successful entrepreneur I know has experienced a season where revenue has slowed down, expenses have increased, and cash flow has become tight. The businesses that thrive aren't the ones that never experience challenges. They're the ones that look honestly at where they are, learn from what they see, and make thoughtful adjustments. That's what the mid-year reset is all about. Progress, not perfection. So sometime this week, I want you to schedule a meeting with your business. Not with your clients, not with your team, with your business. And whether you use a color-coded spreadsheet, as I do, QuickBooks, Wave, Xero, whatever you want to use, just get curious about your numbers. Work through the cash framework, check your numbers, assess your spending, strengthen your cash flow, and head into the second half with intention. Again, your numbers aren't here to judge you. They're here to help you. And they're here to help you build the business and the life that you actually want. If you found today's episode helpful, I'd love for you to share it with another entrepreneur who could use a mid-year reset. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Until next time, keep building a mission-driven business, keep learning from your numbers, and remember, build, measure, learn. Thank you for listening to the Mission Driven Business Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Thompson. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to subscribe on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcast. And if you know another entrepreneur who could benefit from this conversation, please share it with them. Until next time, keep building a business that creates both profit and purpose.